יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שתהא שנה זו הבאה עלינו ועל כל עמך ישראל בכל מקום שהם. אם שכונה תהא גשומה, ואל ייכנס לפניך תפילת עוברי דרכים לעניין הגשם בלבד, בעת שהעולם צריך לו, ושלא יצטרכו עמך בית ישראל בפרנסה זה לזה, ולא לעם אחר. שנה שלא תפיל בה אישה את פרי בטנה, ושיתנו עצי השדה את תנובתם, ולא יעדי אבוד שולטן מדבית יהודה.
I'm standing in the rain of your love. Oh Father, I'm reaching out my heart. I'm dry and thirsty, oh Lord. So I'm standing in the rain of your love. Waiting in the rain of your love. Oh Father, I'm reaching out my heart. I'm dry and thirsty, oh Lord. So I'm waiting in the rain of your I'm yielding to the rain of your love. Oh Father, I'm reaching out my heart. I'm dry and thirsty, oh Lord. So I'm yielding to the rain of your and I'm waiting in the rain of your love. And I'm standing in the rain of your love.
So, shalom everyone. This is us again, filming another webcast from Israel. We've had an idea that maybe we could film a webcast then going by the Jewish year. So every new month we could have maybe a webcast talking about the coming month in the Jewish calendar, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the special days included in that month. And just by doing that, maybe we can just open another window, and open another door for people to be able to come in and to get to know each other a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So, what are we talking about this week?
So last time we talked about Tishrei. Tishrei was the month. That's the month of the holidays, and we're just coming into a month called CHESHVAN. And maybe just before we start, we'll just say something about the names. The names are not included in the Bible. The names of the month, of the months. The Bible basically counts the months by number. So if we read the Torah, we can see that
the first month.
Yeah, exactly. We say the first month, the second month, the third month, etc. But
how do we know which was the first month?
We know because in Exodus it says that this month will be the first month to your years, and that was the month of Nisan in which they left Egypt. So it's quite interesting because the official Rosh Hashanah, the official beginning of the year, is actually Pesach time, which is more or less in April.
Yeah.
But later in history, there was a need to. I don't know if it was a need, or I'm not exactly sure of the reason, but they've set Rosh Hashanah, or what we celebrate today, as the first day of the year, which is actually at the 7th month. Right? If we look at the scriptures talking about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Sukkot, we can see that the Torah is actually saying that all these should be in the 7th month. But today, we have something like a calendar by just like the Torah, or we have something like, or we have another way of counting the months like we do it today. Kind of like a civil and a more religious type of calendars,
right?
Something like that.
Interesting.
Yes, but the names came very much later. They came only in the Babylonian time. So even the names we're using today, like Tishrei, that the last time the last month we've had, and Cheshvan, the one we are about to enter. These names come from Babylonian, Aramaic. These are not pure Hebrew words, and they had some significance in those languages, and that is the reason why we use it up until today. But the names are not included in the Bible. So if anyone goes into Google and
looking for them,
or looking for them in the scriptures, most likely you're not going to be able to find them. Exactly.
Okay.
It's later in history. And it's quite interesting because Cheshvan, the one we're just about to enter, is the only month. It's the only month out of the 12 months we have in the Jewish calendar that has no holidays included in it.
Well,
apart from my birthday. Okay. which is a global holiday. It's a global holiday. But other than that, there is no holiday included in Cheshvan.
Well, you've had enough in the past month.
Well, that's true. We've had a lot on Tishrei. We had four holidays.
It seems like constant. You're just about getting over one, and you've had Shabbat, because there's always a Shabbat that comes in the middle, and so
it was like a holiday Shabbat. So basically, the country was shut for about
really?
4 3
Now
weeks.
I understand why when you live in Israel and you want to get something done, and always even weeks before they say after Chagim, after the holidays, it's like
exactly.
Okay.
Everybody's like Acharei Chagim, and usually the holidays are in September time, and September comes after August, and August everybody is off because of summer vacation. So the country is not functioning for about 2 months. But now we're basically coming into routine. There are no holidays included in Cheshvan. Which is the 8th month, basically, if we counted like the Torah is counting the holidays, and that is why in back in the history our sages basically they offered that we may call it Mar Cheshvan, like Mr. Cheshvan. It's like to give it some kind of significance because it really has no holidays included in it. So Mar Cheshvan.
To give it some kind of significance.
Yeah, let's to give it something,
But I think it has, from what you're telling me, it has actually some very special significance.
It's my favorite month of the year. Not because I'm a routine guy, both because I'm a routine guy and it has no holidays included, but I think there's something very special about it because it's a transition, it's a transition time. We're just entering the winter. We don't really have a fall or an autumn here in Israel, so it's like the cut between the summer and the winter is very sharp, and it happens right on Cheshvan. And what the topic that I would like us to talk about today is rain, actually, because
we just sang about it.
Yeah, because Cheshvan is actually the month in which we start asking for the rain. So it really is. I mean, this is the month of the first rain coming, and I thought maybe just to talk about the meaning of rain in our culture, in your culture, in our religions, because it's a very key thing in Judaism. How do you get rain? I mean, when I say rain, you coming from England, from Canada, if I talk about winter, if I talk about rain, I talk about water.
In England and in Canada too. I mean, the little rhyme you learn as a kid is "Rain, rain, go away, come again another day."
and we have just the opposite. We say Geshem, Geshem, Bo, Geshem, Geshem, Bo.
Yeah, that's right. Come rain. So it's very, very different. And I was thinking about that a little bit. Just in terms of how here, very much when you're asking for the rain, it's very much a physical thing. The rain comes, it waters the earth. Everyone's happy that it's come because we need the rain. And I think because, say, growing up in England or in the West in general, we have plenty of rain, and we actually really rather take it for granted. And so I think. What we've tended to do as Christians, we've spiritualized the term rain. So when we talk about the reign of God, interesting that rain and R-E-I-G-N, like God reigning.
I was just about to ask.
But the reign of God is very much about His blessings, which is also in the physical. Mm-hmm. But the song that I just sang. It was inspired by something I'd read by a man called Richard Foster. And he was talking about the unexpected rain showers of God. And that when God comes with an unexpected rain shower, that we shouldn't put up our umbrellas. It's very, we have that whole sense of sheltering ourselves from this blessing in a way. So that's why I wrote that song.
It's interesting that being a parent, and all my examples come from the world of raising kids. But I mean, the difference is very clear. When my wife and I, for instance, as adults, we leave the house and it's raining, so we kind of we run and we have something like to cover us from the rain, so we don't get wet. But when the kids do that. Their perception is very natural, and it's very, it's more clean in a way of the world. Mm-hmm. When they leave the house and it's raining, they take nothing and they do this. They kind of they go and they open their mouth because they want to drink the rain.
Beautiful.
And I mean, just thinking about it, that you were saying, don't put your umbrellas on.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the thing. Children usually don't. I mean, they would take it because they're excited about holding an umbrella,
yes,
carrying Smurfs on it or something, but in the end, I mean, they always move it aside, and they want to have their boots and jump, in the puddles, mm-hmm. And I mean, they just have a better perception, I guess.
Yeah, the sense of the rain. I know that I always remember there was a song that we sang a lot, especially in the early days of the renewal in Toronto, and the words of it were. Only goes, mercy is falling, is falling, is falling, mercy is falling like the sweet spring rain. And then I thought, wait a minute, sweet spring rain. No, we're talking about the winter rain here. Like our grid is completely different if we're not coming from this part of the world, and from Israel especially. We have a different grid for when the rain comes, even the seasons. We have a different grid for the meaning of the season because, say in Canada or in England, but very much in Canada, you don't think of growth during the season of winter. Whereas here, it's when everything becomes green.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite. So it's...
Do you pray for rain? I mean, do you ever pray for rain? God, let it rain, bring on the rain. I mean, do you have something like that?
Well, we not in the physical sense. I don't ever remember having to pray for rain in the physical sense because it always comes.
Yeah,
we have just an abundance of it, but we would pray for God to send His rain on our hearts. Like to soften our hearts with the rain of His love. That our hearts, we speak about our hearts being like the ground that needs the rain. So that we pray for it in that way. I've heard that many times, or even prayed it. I'm sure.
Because here, for instance, we even use rain to say something about our relationship with God. I mean, the rain is for us. The rain is in some way, it's a way for God to respond our prayers. You know, if it rains, that's how we perceive it. I mean, when it rains, you know, we take it as a blessing. You know, He's answering our prayers because we have a very specific time in which we pray for the rain. And I mean, during the year, I mean, the weather is something we always include in our prayers, and it's not just about God make it a beautiful day because we're going on a trip. That's not that. We have times in which we have specific months in which we pray for rain, and the prayer for rain is basically divided into two. We have a very short time of 3 weeks. I'll explain about it maybe in a second, in which we just mention the rain. We just mention it. Mention it
just in case God forgot.
Yeah, it's just mentioning it. I'll explain why. And then there is a time that's only like for 3 weeks, something like that. And then there's something like just for a few months. I mean, from almost 5 months, that we ask for rain, that we really, really ask for rain, and that period starts on Cheshvan, the month we're just about to enter. So, I mean, the idea of splitting the two is it's more historical, because we know that in the holiday of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacle, I mean, all the Jewish people came to Jerusalem, right? They had to come to Jerusalem from wherever they were. They had to come and bring a sacrifice. Jerusalem was full of people, and people were in Jerusalem, and then come for about a week, because the Feast of Tabernacle is for 7 days. And then right after Feast of Tabernacle, like a day after the 7th day, we have another holiday called Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah is the holiday in which we finish a cycle of reading the Torah, because we take all the portions we have in the Torah and we split it over the number of Shabbats that we have during the year. And then every Shabbat we have a portion. Right. So Simchat Torah is the day basically that we finish reading a whole cycle and we begin a new one, like from Genesis, all over again a week later. And we actually start mentioning the rain on Simchat Torah, but we still don't ask for rain, because back in the days, people had to still go back from Jerusalem to wherever they lived. So we didn't want to ask for rain, and then on their way, they didn't have cars or anything. They traveled by foot, on horses and donkeys, and so we didn't ask for the rain only until they got home. So it took it took about 3 weeks. Right, so basically, it takes us to the 7th day of Cheshvan, in which we actually start to ask for the rain. And then and this is a very, very important thing, because if according to our way of prayer, our way of prayer is less spontaneous. I'm talking about the formal prayer. It's less spontaneous. It's more systematic, and exactly what you say. You have a prayer book, and it's that much of a key thing that if somebody forgot to ask for the rain in his prayer because he was, maybe he wasn't in focus or something like that, he needs to go back to the beginning of his prayer and do everything all over again. Only that he asks for the rain. I mean, it's asking for rain is very, really very, very important. It's very central. It's part of our relationship with God.
I was going to say, because it really feels like the whole sense of the seasons, anyway, the months and the seasons, is just so much more highlighted in Judaism. I've sort of noticed. I've noticed that, and even living here, and it is a biblical thing. It's another one of those things that we've lost. That it's one of those things that's kind of got stolen from us as Christians, and because it seems that you're so much more in touch with the times and the seasons and the months and the rain, like how everything responds, how the land responds to
how nature behaves. Because the first command that we ever got as a nation, as a people, was before we left Egypt in Exodus, and that command was to make a calendar. Basically, it says when God is saying this month should be the first month of the year for you, and it should always fall in the spring. And there is a whole thing that we can discuss. Maybe it'll be too long, but it's a whole thing to discuss. How do we make Pesach? How do we make the time of Pesach, which is more or less April? How do we make it to be April? How do we make it to be the springtime? Because our calendar works by the moon, right? And in a lunar year, in a year which goes by the moon, we have 354 days.
Right.
That's what takes the moon to have a whole round around the world, and but in a calendar which goes by the sun, we have 365 years, so we have a gap of 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's why every 3 years, more or less, we add a 13th month to our calendar.
Right.
It's a fascinating thing. I mean, this is something that was developed, over the years, just in order to make Pesach to always happen in the spring, because that's what this is our first command as a nation.
Right.
Before even the Torah was given, by the way, before Mount Sinai, before everything. First thing we were ever told, make a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's interesting because before I even knew about praying, I sort of knew about the importance of rain and that maybe that we were coming into a season for it, but it was my first Sukkot in Israel, and I was in Jerusalem. Where did my here it is, my trusty capo, and I was sitting up on my roof because I'm living in right in the center of Jerusalem up on my rooftop, and I was just sitting there in my little place, and I just found myself starting to sing this song. And the words are, Abba, Father, Sholech HaGeshem la'adama hayvasha, like send the rain, you send the rain on the dry ground, like. And so I was equating the dry ground to my soul, to give a drink to my thirsty soul, and I just started singing this song, and I realize now, as you're talking about the praying for the rain, that it was right on time. Oh, thank you, Lord. So I thought maybe I'd sing this one.
Yeah.
If you feel like translating when I'm singing so that everyone understands what I'm singing, that would work.
You send the rain on the dry ground to my oily soul. You give a drink. You shower your rain down from heaven. You refresh my soul that longs for you. Please, Father. Flood the thirsty land. Water it with your rain.
I'm just kind of realizing as I'm singing that, and also the first song, there's I think for me, when I'm asking God for rain, it's a very in many ways it's a very intimate and gentle kind of a prayer. It's not I'm not like standing up and in my hands going, yes, and it's the rain.
It rains in Canada.
But the gentleness of the rain. Is there, like, how do you relate to that? Like when you're praying for rain,
maybe we can read it from the verses.
Oh, okay.
Because God is actually using the rain as a mean for us to see and to know that He's responding, that we're on the right track.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the rain is kind of like an answer that God has, to our deeds, even.
Right.
And I'm reading this from Deuteronomy. Maybe you could translate. Maybe we'll do it verse by verse. So okay. So on Deuteronomy 11, verse 13.
Okay.
והיה אם שמוע תשמעו אל מצוותיי, אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיכם, ולעובדו בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם.
And if you will indeed obey my commandments that I command you today, to love the Lord your God and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul.
ונתתי מטר ארצכם בעיתו, יורה ומלקוש, ואספת דגנך, ותירושך ויצהרך.
He will give the rain for your land in its season.
In its season. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
The early rain and the later rain, that you may gather in your grain and your wine and your oil.
ונתתי עשב בשדך לבהמתך, ואכלת ושבעת.
And he will give grass in your fields for your livestock, and you shall eat and be full.
הישמרו לכם, now comes the other part, הישמרו לכם, פן יפתה לבבכם, וסרתם ועבדתם אלוהים אחרים, והשתחוויתם להם.
Take care, lest your heart be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them.
וחרה אף אדוני בכם, ועצר את השמיים, ולא יהיה מטר, והאדמה לא תיתן את יבולה, ועבדתם מהרה מעל הארץ הטובה, אשר אדוני נותן לכם.
Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and he will shut up the heavens, so that there will be no rain, and the land will yield no fruit, and you will perish quickly off the good land that the Lord is giving you. Wow.
I think it says it all. I mean, this is, and you were saying, how do you have anything that talks about the gentleness of the rain? We don't look so much of the first thing we look at is the season. If we have rain before we asked for it, or after we stopped asking for it, in a time that we just were not asking for it, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Okay, so as long as it comes in its season,
right,
and it comes to nourish the land, and we see the fruits growing, it doesn't damage the crops.
Mm-hmm.
and we can eat from the land, and we're having a good how should I say the land is responding well.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're doing that, then we know that it's a good rain. It's a rain of blessing.
Mm.
Okay, and here the blessing is very much physical. I mean because that's the source of living. How
Right.
can you live without water?
Right.
And when God gives us that water, then we know that He's happy with us. He's happy with our deeds, and He wants us to continue. But if we don't follow Him and we don't obey the commands, then what reason does He have, to nourish us and and make us and help us go on our way? So He needs to give us some sign, some kind of a warning, and there's nothing like stopping the rain and your field is not giving you anything, not providing you with anything.
To take notice.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. As a human being, it's
Yeah.
not about good, bad. We can talk about levels of spirituality. Some that needs that punishment, some that don't need that punishment. That's not the case. The case is that as human beings, this is one of the things that God is giving us. He's using the rain in order to indicate, to respond or to
Yeah.
tell us something.
I'm thinking of that verse where it says that He makes His rain to fall on the just and on the unjust,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such a picture of the mercy of God, the grace of God.
It's the mercy of Him, and it's also the picture of it's also the sense of being a nation, and when we are being judged, it's of course it's also on the individual level, but not only the individual level. There are also things that we have in a corporate, in a more corporate level.
Mm.
So if I'm doing if I'm doing a good deed, I have the ability to save someone else in my nation, because we would all get wet when it rains, and also vice versa. So it also takes us back to that sense of mutual guarantee that we have for each other. Because it's not like in the West we're used to hear I can live my life, you can live your life, keep it separate. Not the case in the Jewish people. It's really just not the case. And anybody trying to bring it to Israel, bring that type of world view, each can live his own life, her own life, and we don't have to interfere with each other. You can be religious and do your thing. I can choose not to be and do my thing. It doesn't really work like that here,
Right.
because we have a sense of mutual guarantee, and but the rain is like in the center of everything. It really is in the center of everything. Not just the rain, by the way, also the dew. The dew. Like in the summer, we pray for dew. It's like the summer, like the light summer rain.
Right.
That we have, not in the sense of summer rain you would have maybe in England. That's
Thunderstorms,
not that. So we have these two things in the center of our prayers all the time, all the time. And I would like to say maybe one more thing. It is that central that the high priest, when we know that the high priest he used to go inside the Holy of Holy only just once a year, right, on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, and it was a very, very big event, and he had a lot of preparations he had to go through, and a lot of teachings that he had to go through, and it was a big thing, a huge thing, and everybody's concern was that the high priest's intention would be a pure intention, and his heart would be right in the right place, because if that weren't the case, then he would die, being in Holy of Holy and not being worthy to be there. So he had to be very focused with what he was doing, and his heart had to be in the right place, and it was that much like that he didn't want to waste time while being there. So he didn't have, we could have expected for him to pray, like a long prayer, being inside Holy of Holy, and
make the most of it.
Yeah, let's make like he could have stayed there the whole day. We could have expected that, but that wasn't the case. He was there only for a few minutes. And he had to rush out, because everybody was just concerned, and he was concerned as well, that maybe his mind would I don't know, go somewhere else. He wouldn't be focused. He wouldn't be concentrated on the thing that he was doing, on worshiping, and then basically that would be the end of it. And so he was as concentrated as he could have been, and he went in, he did what he had to do, and he went out. I mean, it was only like a few minutes thing. But then we have a piece from our Talmud that says that he did make a short prayer when he was there, and that is the prayer that I read over your music when we opened the video, and his prayer. Can I read it? Can I read it to you? Can I read you that prayer? And I'll just read it in Hebrew, and then I'll just simultaneously translate. Yehi ratzon milefanecha, Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu. So may it be your will, God our Lord and the Lord of our fathers and forefathers. Shetehe shana zo haba alenu, let this year which comes upon us, ve'al kol amcha Yisrael, and upon all of your people Israel, bechol makom shehem, wherever they are, im shchuna tehe geshuma. If you decided for it to be a dry year, let it be a rainy year. Okay, let it be a wet year. Okay, so if you decide, if in any case you decided for it to be a dry year, make it a rainy year. Ve'al yikanes lefanecha tfilat ovrei drachim le'inyan hageshem bilvad. This is a very interesting thing. He's saying, please do not accept the prayers of those who walk on the way, those who are on their way.
Yeah.
Don't accept their praise for it not to rain. You know, sometimes you go on a trip, you say, God, please don't make it rain today. I don't want it to rain. I don't want it to rain. It's my wedding day. All these things. We had a very rainy day on our wedding. Don't even ask. But so he's saying ve'ali kanes lefanecha. So don't accept those prayers of those who are on the way and they ask for it not to rain. Be'et sheha'olam zakuk lo, in times that the world needs it. Wow. This is what he chose to say. Mm-hmm. Okay, in the 2 minutes that he's been to Holy of Holy once a year. Okay, just to give an example of how central it is. V'shelo yitztarchu amcha Yisrael befarnasa ze leze. And please don't make your children ever need anybody else for living. So you give us the living. Okay, don't let your children need anybody else to support them. You provide. You provide the living. Wow. And then he also says, "Shana shelo tapil ba isha et pri bitna," a year in which a woman would not miscarry.
Make it a year, yeah.
Make it a year that in which all babies will be alive, and it's very. I think the correlation between the fruits on the trees, and the way he says the fruit of her stomach. That's the literal the fruit of the womb. That's the literal translation. I think it's a beautiful one. The continuity. We can't have continuity without the rain, without water. We can't have continuity without a next generation. V'sheyitnu atzei hasadeh et tenuvatam, and let the trees of the field give its crops. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's basically the prayer that the high priest prayed in the only 2 or 3 minutes that he's been into Holy of Holy in a year. Okay, that was a very short prayer, and that's all it included. He prayed for rain. And of course for the next generation.
And for fruit that comes from the blessing of the rain, whether it's physical, whether it's... Yeah.
No, we want you to be the provider. We don't want anybody else, no other people, not any other person, other nation. You provide us, you give us what we need in order to live.
Amazing. That's I love that whole sense of asking God to change his mind.
We're very good at that. We are very good at that. We need to have a whole video just about that.
Yeah. That's fun. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's. I just thought, when we were talking about Cheshvan, the month we're just about to enter, and that is the key thing that we have about Cheshvan. it's the month in which we start asking for the rain, and this would last for about 5 months. And just how important and how central the rain is, and how is it a mean to understand what God, if what God thinks of us at the moment, just at that particular moment. And we always see it as a blessing, and there's always excitement here, for it, because it really is like God responding. There's a huge excitement. I mean, when it rains, children they want to be out all the time. They don't want to come inside. It's just like, they want to feel it.
Standing in the blessing.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
It's a great picture. It's a wonderful picture.
It is. There's one more day in Cheshvan that I would like us maybe to say something about. The 11th day of this month is the day in which Rachel, our matriarch, passed away, and that's a day we always mention. The 11th day of Cheshvan, and so we have a lot of people go to Bethlehem, to visit her tomb on that day. It's a big day. And Rachel was the merciful one. She was harechuma. She was the merciful one. And our tradition says that she's the only matriarch who was not buried in Hebron with all the rest, right? Because Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, Isaac and Rebecca, and then Yaakov and Leah, they're all buried in the same place in Hebron. Right, in that cave. But Rachel is the only one which was buried in Bethlehem, and the Torah says that she was buried on the road.
Yes.
Right on the road. And our tradition says that she is the keeper. She is the keeper of the road. She is. That's why we have that prophecy. As if God is saying to Rachel, hold your cry. Right? Min'i kolech mi bechi ve'enayich mi dim'a. Do you remember
Rachel's weeping. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do not cry. Yeah.
Yeah. Ki yesh sachar lifrodach, because there is a reward for your action. She is standing on the road. She's.
There's a beautiful song about that, isn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah. There are many.
We need to share some of those, I think, with our people that are tracking with us on here, because I remember that. I remember doing that song. It's beautiful.
It's and she really is the keeper, according to our tradition. So she's buried not in Hebron, in a big place where everybody comes to visit. She's buried on the road, that's how the Torah is describing it. And the 11th day of Cheshvan is the day in which she passed away.
It's so wonderful to hear about this. It just brings a depth for me to. I think for myself, I tend to just go from day to day. And that's really changed for me with the pattern of being here in Shabbat, and there's a pattern, there's a kind of a rhythm to life here, and by the months and the new month, each time there's a new month, and I just feel that so much that we can learn to really be in sync, as it were, with God's seasons and times, and there's a real blessing in that itself. And
in the times of the holidays, a lot of people say, we've had the summer vacation, now we've had the holidays vacation. We just don't work for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And people say, and they say, sometimes you could people are tired of it, and we need to cook a lot and to have guests and to go but we live for these high times.
Yes.
These are high times,
yeah.
And we live for that. We live for Shabbat.
Yeah.
And on Friday night we light candles, right? We light the candles. And on Saturday night, in our house in any case, we would prepare the candles for the next Shabbat on Saturday night, for the next Friday night. And they just stand there for 6 days,
waiting to be lit.
Yeah, just standing there waiting, because there is a whole sense of these are the moments for which we work hard. These are the moments in which we put a lot of effort during the week. This is what we're working for. This is why we live, right? We live for these high times in which we can definitely come closer with Him.
Awesome.
And for me, it's a privilege to open that kind of a door. That kind of a door. I mean, so just to invite inside, and that people can. I don't know how good the explanations are, but they can at least try and sense something, something a bit different, so they can have like an inner look about things.
Awesome. Well, we probably should draw to a close, and I want to do that. I already want to sing our song that we always sing, because we've found that this is such a meeting place of what we pray for together. For the coming of the Messiah, for the coming of Mashiach. And so this song is about that. I believe with total faith in the coming of the Messiah. And even if he's delayed, we'll wait for him. And that's I love that.
It became almost like a hymn in our week.
Yeah, it did.
Our week in March.
So before we sign off, maybe we should just mention that keep in touch with us. We're on Facebook. We have a page on Facebook, which probably most of you are watching this. That's probably how you knew about this. But keep in touch with us there. Go on the website. Go on my website, and check out the Now in Jerusalem, the No Ordinary Week in Jerusalem. These weeks that we're doing together. We had our first one in March, which was amazing. And I don't know how it could get any better, but it probably will. And God's better is always like His different, things that are always different depending on the group. And so we have another one coming up in November, which we're very excited about. And then we've just opened the registration for the new one. And already people are signing up, and that will be in March 2016, March the 6th to the 13th. So think about joining us. Christmas is coming up, and give it as a present to somebody, or just something. This would be a good thing to do, and come and join us. And this is
I never thought of myself as a Christmas gift. It's a very interesting thought.
Oh dear!
I'm not sure what my friends and relatives would say about that.
Okay, well, okay. So that's that coming up, and let's sing this song. Is this right?
Yeah.
Are you going to play?
No, we'll just.
Oh yeah, we need the deep plugs. Come on. I think that's too high.
It's the third, I think.
So we'll sign off with this one, and look forward to seeing you again on our next webcast, which will be for the month of...
In a month.
And it's the month of...
It's the month of Kislev.
And
Kislev is the month of Hanukkah, the holiday of Hanukkah. And the idea is basically for us to be able to talk about light.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
we have a lot to talk. We have a lot to talk about that one. Yeah. That's a subject that as Christians we definitely.
We can even tell people, if you have any questions, if you have any comments about what we've been discussing, further questions that you would like to ask about things we've said, things that you would like us to discuss the next time, in our next webcast, you can always write on the website, right?
Yes.
You can write on the website. You can write us on Facebook, and we'll just do the best we can to include it. Next time.
That'd be great.
If
בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, אני מאמין באמונה שלמה. בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, ואף על פי שיתממע עם כל זה, אחכה לו, בכל יום שיבוא, בכל יום שיבוא. ואף על פי שיתממע עם כל זה, אחכה לו, בכל יום שיבוא, בכל יום שיבוא. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה.
Shalom.